What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Monday edition of The Squeeze. I am Tyler Conium, and boy, oh boy, we did not end the week well. Yesterday was a bloodbath. Until the likes of Game of Thrones Red Wedding or Stone Cold Steve Austin against Bret the Hitman Hart, we went 0-3, and none of the bets were even close. We had LAFC, we had New England Revolution to be within 1 goal, essentially, 1 or 1.5 goals. They lost 4-0. We had under in Minnesota and Phoenix. There were 9 goals. We had Carolina to win the game. They lost 3-0. None of the bets are even close. And so we move on to a new day. It is what it is. What can you do? We tried our best. It was a valiant effort. I had someone on Twitter say they parlayed all 3 picks. Sorry. Oops. Didn't go well, but that is what it is here at sports betting. When you bet every single day, then, at some point it's bound to happen. So if you had faded all of those picks, you were at a 3-0 day. Maybe you want to fade all 3 of these picks today. That might not be a bad idea. But here we are. A bit of a bummer because we were up 2.78 units yesterday. Washed it all away. So it goes. Back on a Monday. A little bit excited for tomorrow being the off day because last Tuesday I was pissed about an 0-3 Monday. So I kept going and we bet. So it's been a while since I've taken a day just to sort of breathe. So tomorrow is going to be that day. But before that, we're going to start where we know, which is the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they're playing the Buffalo Sabres. And this is a pick where you might say, well, if you're riding the trends, why are you betting the under here? Well, the number is 7, and I just think the Leafs are going to start playing a lot more under games. On this season, they are 34-28 to the under. Buffalo Sabres are 36-27 to the over. Now, you also look at the the Toronto Maple Leafs just played a 7-4 game against Edmonton. There were just 11 goals. Before that, there were 7 against the New Jersey Devils. But I think the Toronto Maple Leafs are really going to start, we're at the point of the season where teams are really going to start to focus. Buffalo just played a 3-2 game 2 nights ago against the Rangers in overtime. It was a 3-goal game. Before that, there were 14 goals. They gave up 10 goals to Dallas. So if you want to look at the trends indicate, look, Sabres are over 15-3 in their last 18 games after scoring 2 or less goals in their previous game. Under is 5-1 in their last 6 Monday games. Maybe there's something to that. Leafs more traditionally under. Under is 5-1 in their last 6 Monday games. Under is 3-1-1 in their last 5 games following a win. Under is 3-0-1 in their last 4 when their opponents score 2 or less goals. When you look at the meetings, the over is 5-2-1 in the last 8 meetings in Toronto. Buffalo's giving up a ton of goals. Buffalo's been scoring the goals. But I just think that this is going to be more of a hard-fought battle than people think. The Leafs are 24-6-3 at home. The Sabres are 19-10 on the road. I look for this game to go under 7, maybe be a push, maybe a 4-3 final in overtime. Maybe it's 5-2 for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But I'm going to go against the traditional trend because if I had done that yesterday, I would have won all 3 bets. It is juiced to the under. It's -125 at DraftKings, so that is what people are predicting. Maybe there's 8 goals. Maybe you want to take that. That's fine. But I'm going to go Leafs Sabres under 7, -125 at DraftKings. Moving on to the nemesis of the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Montreal Canadiens, who are at home tonight to the Colorado Avalanche. Montreal's one of the better teams against the spread this season, 37-29 ATS. Colorado comes into this with a great record at 36-22, but they're 32-32 against the spread. In the recent games for Montreal, when they have lost, so most recently they lost 2 nights ago to New Jersey. They did lose that by 2 because they're on a 6-game losing streak, but they lost by 2 goals to New Jersey. Previous to that, they lost by 1 to the Rangers, overtime, by 1 to the Hurricanes, overtime, by 1 to Anaheim, by 1 to Vegas, by 1 to LA. When they're losing, they're not getting blown out of the water. So Colorado's been playing a lot of under games, 5-0 in their last 5, unders 5-0-2 in their last 7 when their opponent scores 2 or less goals. What happens when you get unders? Traditionally, you don't see a lot of puck line victories. Montreal, they've been playing a little bit more over games, but, not by a ton because they're just going to be giving up a lot of goals. Under 7-0 in these last 7 meetings. The home team is 9-2 in the last 11. This is being played at Montreal. So I look for perhaps Colorado might win this game. I actually think it's not a terrible bet to bet the Montreal Canadiens on this game, but I just look for the fact that Montreal's been playing hard-fought games. They're not losing by a ton of goals. Colorado hasn't been winning by a ton of goals really lately either. They have been struggling. They're winners of only 2 of their last 6 games. So you're going to be the Montreal Canadiens on the puck line, so not to lose by... So Montreal Canadiens plus 1.5 for -110 at DraftKings. And the last bet, this one's a little bit more riding the trends. We've got the Dallas Stars and the Seattle Kraken. And coming into this game, both teams are under teams. Seattle's 32-29 to the under. Colorado is 36-25 to the under. These are two great teams. We've got 36-17 Dallas against 37-22 Seattle. We've got the fact that neither of these teams played last night, so there's no back-to-back situations. Both are coming off 2 days rest. This is going to be a hard-fought battle. This is a must-win, not must-win, but in a very important game. You've got Ottinger in net for Dallas, who's got a 2.41 GAA. You've got Grubauer in net potentially for Seattle. He does have a 3.04 goals against, but I like the fact that Seattle is playing this game at home where they're 16-13-3. The most recent matchup between these two teams was a 4-3 win, but that was in overtime. Previous to that, the totals came in at 5, 5, and 7. So 2 overs, 2 unders, but one of the overs being in overtime. Lately, Dallas has been playing a lot of over games lately, over 6-0-1 in their last 7. But when you look at why that is, they've been playing really crappy teams, right? So they did play Seattle most recently. That was the 4-3 win. So we've got the back-to-back situation here. Previous to that, their wins, it was 10-4, but it was Buffalo. 5-4 they lost. They beat Colorado 7-3. They beat Chicago, Arizona, Vancouver. Then they played Vegas before that. So when they're playing difficult teams, these scores aren't getting out of control. It's when they're playing teams like Chicago, playing teams like Vancouver, Arizona, that just happen to give up a ton of goals, right? And when you look at Seattle, the unders 3-0-2 in their last 5 Monday games against each other, like I mentioned already. So I think this is just going to be a hard-fought battle. We're getting into the point of this season where these are not meaningless games. These aren't the dog days of January, even February. We're getting to the middle of March now, guys. Teams have 15-ish games left. They need to win these games and start getting the seedings in the NHL playoffs. So I think you're going to see a lot more intensity, a lot more defensive, a lot more physical hockey, especially against the better teams. So that's why I like the Dallas Stars and the Seattle Kraken to go under 6.5. That's -125 at Proline. So again, yesterday was a crappy day. Throw it out the window. 0-3. If you want to fade all these picks, I wouldn't blame you. But our card for this NHL Monday, we've got the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Buffalo Sabres under 7 for -125 at DraftKings. I like the Montreal Canadiens +1.5 for -110 at DraftKings. And give me the Dallas Stars and the Seattle Kraken to go under 6.5 for -125 at Proline. As always, drop a comment if you're fading or following. You can follow me on Twitter at Tyler Connium for more picks and props throughout the day. TikTok and Instagram for just the picks portions, and audio versions available on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Let's have a nice rebound day. Let's talk sports.